off again. But it's the only way you're ever gonna learn. You look back and it's all in the past. I'm dwelling on the thoughts I cannot say to you. If I don't say the words, then maybe it's not true.
Good morning, welcome to NUFC Matters with me, Steve Wraith, and delighted as always to be joined by Ross Gregory. Good morning, Ross.
Morning, Steve. How are you doing?
Very good, mate. Very good. And what a show, really, we'll have today, because Newcastle played last night, obviously beat Arsenal 2-0. Champions League chasing Arsenal, a team which, of course, we haven't done so well against at St James's Park in past years. And again, breaking another record in the sense that Eddie Howe, struggled against the top four teams on a regular basis. But he's broken a personal hoodoo as well. But fantastic to see. Great result. Great display as well by War Flags. But before we get into that this afternoon, you are obviously at the cusp of a breaking news story at the moment, Ross. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so a little bit of transfer news coming out this morning, just dropped from the Manchester United end, actually, but it's Newcastle are interested in signing Dean Henderson in the summer, the Man United goalkeeper. There's talk of a £40 million valuation for Henderson, who is obviously an England international. He's one of the kind of the best goalkeeper prospects we have in this country. Had an excellent spell at Sheffield United. I saw him play there a few times when I was down covering some Sheffield United games down there. Really, really highly rated and full of potential. His career stalled a little bit since he went back to Man United. He was hoping to push for that number one jersey, and that first choice jersey at Old Trafford. But David De Gea's obviously the man in demand there. He's only 25 still. I can see a couple of comments there saying he's 25. It's prospect. 25 is young for a goalkeeper. You know, goalkeepers can play until their late 30s quite comfortably. So he's highly rated. He wants to move in the summer. He's wanting to get into the England squad, obviously, for the World Cup in November. So he needs game time. He's looking at either a permanent move or a loan move in the summer. It might be that Man United just let him go out on loan. He's on decent money. He's on big wages. But yeah, Newcastle are interested, and there is talk of a £40 million bid. I know this story came out in January as well. You know, Newcastle did have a little sniff there at him in January, but couldn't get a deal done for one reason or another. So yeah, that's the news coming out of Manchester as we speak. Just breaking news. Newcastle interested in the £40 million move for Dean Henderson this summer.
What's Dean Henderson going to bring to the squad? I mean, I guess, and it's something I've banged on about on here for the last couple of weeks, is that, you know, it's competition, isn't it? It's competition for places, and other names that have been linked with Newcastle didn't really set the tongues wagging or the hairs on the back of your neck standing up. Kasper Schmeichel was mentioned. I spoke about this with Ben Jacobs yesterday. 35, wouldn't want to come to Newcastle as a number two, and an understudy to Dubravka. So this really does give Dubravka a little bit of food for thought. He's played well. He's a fan's favourite, but you need backup. And when Dubravka's been injured, you know, some of these understudies haven't quite come in and been able to do the job in the same manner or fashion, have they?
No, absolutely not. You know, Dubravka is comfortably the best goalkeeper at Newcastle this season at the minute. And there isn't a massive level of competition there with him. Dean Henderson will not be coming in to play number two. He's a number two at Man United. He would be coming in to be a number one, and that would obviously mean either Dubravka moving or going down to be number two. If they did move for somebody like Dean Henderson, what he brings is he's got a real confidence about himself. He's got a real confidence about his ability. Goalkeepers need that, I suppose. They need to be very, very strong mentally and very, very confident. He's very good with his feet. I think he's a better goalkeeper than Dubravka is with the ball at his feet, which is a vital part of modern day football, modern day goalkeeping, and something that Eddie Howe wants from his goalkeepers. He wants to be able to play out from the back. There's a reason why he's brought why the two centre halves are Dan Burn and Fabian Schär. Yes, they're good defenders, but they're also very comfortable on the ball. He wants to be able to play out, and he feels, I think, that Dubravka's maybe slightly missing in that department. Look, I can see some of the comments as well coming in about, £40 million for a goalkeeper. It's a lot of money. That was my first thought as well. £40 million for Man United's second choice goalkeeper is a lot of money. If you put it into a little bit of context, how much did Sunderland pay for Jordan Pickford? That was 30 plus. Last summer, Arsenal paid 30 million for Aaron Ramsdale, who, let's be honest, didn't cover himself in any glory last night, but has had an excellent season. A similar type of profile, young English goalkeeper, early 20s. He went for 30 million plus from a relegated team, from a championship team. Man United have got a higher profile than that, and Henderson's got a lot about him. 40 million is a lot of money if you're 25 and you play for 10 seasons. It's the old Alan Shearer comparison. 15 million for Shearer was a lot of money in the day, but you got 10 seasons out of him. If you can get 10 seasons out of a goalkeeper for 40 million, is it bad business? Is it worth the money? I don't know. Look, this is what prices are like these days. This is what transfer fees are like, and we're always going to have to get used to, I think, there being a slight Newcastle premium on potential signings as well. So that's the story. Whether it happens or not, we'll see. But a £40 million interest in Dean Henderson this summer.
Yeah, breaking news, and click on the link in the chat. You'll be able to see the full story. And like I say, we're going to get a lot of this over the next over the next couple of months. 1st of June, I think it is, the transfer window opens. And it will be very interesting to see what business gets done, both in and out at St James's Park. There's a lot to do. And from my perspective, I cannot wait to see that transfer window open. But great stuff. Let's get back to last night. And I just want to show you these photos. George Frizzle on Twitter, ToonArmy59, posted a couple of the display last night. And George has captured these fantastically well. It's amazing what a good mobile phone can do these days, but just caught the angles perfectly, I think, of the displays just at the right time. And War Flags, obviously, it's fans who put money into the War Flags campaign to keep it ticking over, and it's mind-blowing each time I see these displays. But last night was really, really special, Ross. I know you weren't at the game last night, but just give us your sense of feeling that you got from the coverage on Sky.
Yeah, look, I wasn't, unfortunately, at St James's last night, but watched the full game from the comfort of my sitting room, and what came through loud and clear pre-match, during the game, post-match, was the atmosphere, was the kind of the noise and the passion and everything else like that. Now, I've said this a few times now, but the fans have got a huge part to play in what Newcastle United do, especially pre-match. If you're an young Arsenal player coming out, and Arsenal have got some decent players, and they're not 4th, 5th in the table by pure chance. They are a good team with some good young players. But if you're coming out into a cauldron like was at St James's Park last night, the intimidation factor, the noise, the passion, the fervour, everything else like that, and it wasn't just pre-match. Obviously the War Flags display was fantastic, as it always is, but probably took it to an absolute different level last night. But if that noise continues all the way through the game, if there's that passion, that fervour, that intimidation, it not only motivates and gets Newcastle players up for the game, and there's a lot of players who've spoken after the match last night who've praised the atmosphere and said it plays a part, but it also can have a negative effect on the opposition as well. So the atmosphere just shone through. It was fantastic to listen to and watch on the telly last night. I'm sure it was even better, obviously, in the stadium for those who were part of it. It's great to see that kind of passion and noise back, because let's be honest, we've all been to St James's over the last decade, and it's been at times flat and uninspiring, and there's been a malaise around the place. Some of us are fortunate enough to have been there during the mid-90s and the Bobby Robson era, and some big games where, not just evening games, Saturday afternoons, Sundays, where the atmosphere has been absolutely electric. And if we can get back to that on a consistent basis, and there's no reason why shouldn't it, becomes an intimidating place in James's Park again, it becomes a real cauldron. Gary Neville mentioned it last night on Sky Sports after the game about how it used to be a really difficult place to come as a player when he was a player with that great Man United team, and I think that's shown over the last couple of months with the home results, with some of the performances, some of the displays, that the fans have a huge part to play in a match day experience.
Yeah, keep it going. That's all I'll say to the lads and lasses at War Flags, and fantastic gesture as well by the club to take all the volunteers up to the training ground to meet Eddie Howe and the boys as well, Ross.
Yeah, that's great. That was really nice to see. I think that's where the new ownership have really improved relations with the fan base, and got everybody on side, brought everybody into the fold, and just little thank yous like that. Getting up to the training ground and having the picture taken and meeting the players and Eddie Howe. That might seem like a really little thing, but for a fan, for people who love the club and who follow the club, that means so much, and it'll stay with them for the rest of their lives.
Yeah, it certainly will. And as I say, never has a set of supporters deserved anything as much as that. Let's get to the game. And the Geordie dentist, who does the Three Amigos, and Geordie's here, there, Geordie's everywhere on Wednesday nights, might have had a little bit of work last night, because Callum Wilson had his tooth displaced. Quite a shocking challenge, I thought. And, there was a couple of them last night. Fabian Schär, of course, knocked clean unconscious by another Arsenal player. But it wasn't really that kind of game. It was just physical. Arsenal obviously had a lot to play for. But I will go on record as saying that I felt, and I've been, obviously, like you, at St James's Park and witnessed many great occasions, that was up there with probably one of the best performances I've seen, team performances. And really, Newcastle should have been out of sight. I haven't looked at the stats, I haven't checked the statistics, but it felt to me like Newcastle dominated that game from start to finish. And in the Dog and Parrot after the game with Malcolm, I mean, it was 68% possession, I think, first half, something like 70% throughout the whole game. And that, for me, just tells you Newcastle were the dominant force. And it was up there with performances like the 5-0 against Man United. Newcastle were completely dominant. And Arsenal really didn't look like the Champions League chasers Newcastle did. Yeah,
I 100% agree with you, Steve. It was such a fantastic, dominant performance. I thought they were at it from the first whistle. They were pressing in the right places. They were physical in the right places. They were first to a lot of the loose balls. It was a really solid performance. Now, played well first half. I got to half time, and I'll be honest, the pessimist inside of me said, "Look, you've got to score when you're on top. You've played so well for 45 minutes and kind of dominated without really creating massive amounts. There was a couple of good chances, but not great. I just thought, are they going to be able to keep that performance and that there was intensity levels up throughout the second half, or will Arsenal kind of step up a gear, because Arsenal were poor for all. That's not me playing down how well Newcastle United played, because the performance was brilliant. But Arsenal were poor. There's no two ways of getting around that. So I thought Arsenal would come back strong in the second half, but Newcastle were just equally as strong, equally as good. And it was a really dominant 90-minute, 95-minute, 96-minute performance. Certainly as good as that they've produced over the last few years, 5, 6, 7 years. Certainly the best performance, all-round performance I think I can remember in a long time. Really good. Arsenal were poor, overawed, intimidated by the occasion. You can use the word bottle up. I think it's probably fair to say in that sense that they never looked like they've recovered from Thursday night. But that's not taking anything away from how Newcastle played, because it was a really, really strong, excellent performance.
What difference has Callum Wilson made to that team? I mean, last night, his overall play and effort for me is something we've missed. And I mean, look, I've been a big Chris Wood fan. I know he's not going to be a prolific goal scorer. I know he'll be a squad player if he remains at St James's Park. But you know what? Callum Wilson just showed you what we've been missing for months, and that is just energy, making those runs. He was a nuisance for the Arsenal rear guard from start to finish last night.
Yeah, he looked really sharp, didn't he? And it's surprising, he's not started a game for 4 months. I expected him to, the way he started in that first half, I just thought, Jesus, he's going to burn himself out after 55, 60 minutes. If we can get 60 minutes out of him, then fantastic. But he's going to be gone by then. The fact that he was still doing it in the 90th minute is unreal. Really, it was an incredible performance. He does give you that pace. He likes to run in behind, but he gives you as well. Look, Chris Wood. I'm not going to criticise Chris Wood because he's come in to do a job and he's played his part. But Chris Wood's 6'4", and I've not seen him bully centre halves like what Callum Wilson did last night. Callum Wilson absolutely gave Ben White and Gabriel an absolute torturous time, and Ben White wasn't fully fit. That was obvious, but Callum Wilson wasn't probably fully fit neither, and he absolutely destroyed them. Real nuisance. Deserved a goal. That one that just dipped and swerved away from the far post. That was an incredible effort. He looked sharp in and around the box. If he'd had another game or two under his belt, I'm sure he would have put one or two of those chances away. It was an absolutely outstanding performance. And what it showed to me a little bit as well is that there's been a bit of talk, and we've talked about it on this show, Steve, about the summer and bringing strikers in and everything else like that. And I still maintain that Newcastle need 2 forwards in the summer, one through the middle and probably a wide forward for me. But Callum Wilson's put his flag firmly in the sand there. If there's going to be strikers coming in, this is the performances that you're going to have to produce to take that jersey off me. It was an absolutely outstanding performance. Yeah,
it certainly was, and great to have him back, and let's hope that they continue in the same form down at Burnley, and it's going to be a fascinating weekend at the top and bottom of the table. But before I come to that, Steve Mowat mentioned something which I know you'd be able to give an opinion on. Morning, Stephen Ross. Thought the Sky Sports coverage was biased. They might as well call it Arsenal TV. We only got a small amount of praise and a small dig at our ownership. Now, I haven't watched it. I didn't record it. I got out of the habit of recording these Sky games during the Ashley era, and I'm going to have to start setting the record button. I think now I've made Match of the Day my go-to for highlights, because let's face it, under Ashley there wasn't many highlights. But yeah, bias commentating. I mean, who was it? Don't tell us it was Alan Smith.
Alan Smith was co-commentator. Yeah. Now I like Alan Smith. I think he's one of the better ones. But he's an Arsenal man, an Arsenal fan, and there was certainly some elements there during the game where he was firmly on in the Arsenal camp. Let's put it that way. That's the way it was. I'll be brutally honest. It doesn't bother me. It really doesn't bother me, because if it was Alan Shearer doing on. I've listened to Alan Shearer co-comment. He's a Newcastle fan, so you would expect a little bit as well. Yes, you want him to be kind of down the middle, but I don't mind it. I listen to Carragher. He's a Liverpool fan. I don't necessarily think you have to hide that. I think Smith was a little bit too much in terms of some of the 50-50 stuff. Where he could have been a bit more down the middle than he should have done. Yeah. Post-match, I know there was a bit of criticism post-match about it being fully focused on Arsenal, or mainly focused on Arsenal, certainly for the first bit post-match with Neville and Carragher. Again, look, I look at this as a journalist and as a little bit more independently, I suppose. And the story last night, fantastic performance by Newcastle, but the national story last night for a Sky Sports audience, it was Arsenal imploding and missing out on the Champions League. Unfortunately, that's my opinion as a journalist. That's the line that they had to go down, and they had to focus in on how Arsenal had imploded and missed out on a Champions League place, because that was the big story. They did then go on to give Newcastle a lot of praise, and Eddie Howe a lot of praise as well. So I was quite comfortable with the Sky Sports coverage in the main last night. I thought Alan Smith was a little bit the wrong side of the line though.
Yeah, it's just the way it is, and it's difficult, 100%. And Steve just says absolutely, Ross, for 100%. Hit the like button, thank you, Kamal. Obviously, the ownership is the other thing that Steve mentioned. We're always going to have that though, and it's been one of those weeks, Ross, where Newcastle stoked the fire. Craig Hope's running a story this morning to say that Newcastle have confirmed that the third strip of green and white it will be forthcoming. Got to be honest, mate. As somebody who has promoted for many years events and promote this show, I guess marketing and promotion is very important when you have either something to sell or you have something to to grab the public's interest, and ultimately job done by the marketing department. That will be, I would say, probably Newcastle United's biggest selling third strip of all time, because Newcastle fans will buy it in this country and around the world. And I think the people in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia will go mental for that.
I agree. I think the publicity that this strip has got will generate interest in it. It will generate sales. It will increase the merchandising. I suppose that the other side of the story is should they have gone for the green and white strip, and is it a good move? Is it a step too far? Is it we can talk about sports washing all we like, and look, I'm trying not to be overly negative this morning because it was after such a fantastic night last night, and the positive way around it. It leaves me, you bring me on the show, Steve, to give my opinion.
100%, Ross, and that's what it's all about. Opinions are very important. There's always two sides to the story, so go for it, mate. Don't think you'll be judged or criticised by anybody on this channel.
I'm uncomfortable with it. I'm uncomfortable with it in the sense that I'm still uncomfortable with elements of the Saudi ownership. I think that we need to make sure, as fans and as journalists and as responsible people, that things are done the right way, and that a light is shone on some of the practices that are clearly not right in that part of the world, and that's fine. I do think that this one's a little bit of a storm in a teacup as well, and I will say that. But the other side of it for me is a PR move. I don't think it's particularly great. I don't think that the amount of money and profile that's going to come from it to do this, to run this strip, I just don't think it's worth the hassle personally. I think they should have kept a lower profile and just kept it, keep the powder dry. Every move is going to be scrutinized, Steve, as you said right at the start. Every move is going to be scrutinized that the ownership make. I think just sometimes they just need to be a little bit more PR savvy and think, right, if we do this, what are we going to get out of it that's good? What are we going to get? Is it going to outweigh the stuff that we're going to get that might be negative? And just take a view on it on that. I know my opinion won't be reflected elsewhere in the fan base and within journalists as well. But that's my opinion. I think it's a poor move in all, but it will sell shirts. There's no doubt about that. But at what cost?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's going to be a talking point, and eventually when it comes off the the machinery and it's in the shops and it's on sale, I'm sure there'll be more criticism. I want to get your take on the badge. Tongue in cheek, I obviously suggested that the Saudi flag would be one. It's because I get a lot of grief, as you know, on social media. But taking away my daft attempt at humour, these are the badges, Ross. 1969 to 76, which I didn't like, and that wasn't my era. 76 to 83, 83 to 88, and 1988 to present. Now, my favourite's the 1983 to 88, closely followed by 76 to 83, and then the 1988 one, which is the current one, is my third favourite. So pushing the 69 to 76 into fourth place. Okay, first of all, which is your favourite, Ross? And secondly, is it time to change the badge?
Yeah, really interesting subject, this one, Steve. So we ran a piece on the Chronicle. Matthew Ketchell ran a piece on the Chronicle on Saturday around this and just about this conversation around the badge. It's something that always gets people people's juices flowing. We had a lot of comments on it. We had a lot of reaction to it on the Chronicle site on Saturday. It's a good talking point. I love the NUFC one with the I haven't got it up there, but the NUFC with the C underneath, bent underneath. Sorry, that one, the 83 to 88. I love that one because that's from when I first started following Newcastle. So that's kind of
same as me.
That's linked with me. It'd be the same with you. I do like the 76 to 83 one as well. I think it needs a little bit of a refresh. I think it needs a little bit of a tweak. I wouldn't like to see it changed too much though. Maybe it's just modernized a little bit and brought up. I wouldn't want to see a radical kind of change away from it. Some people might. I was involved a little bit with the Yorkshire Evening Post back in 2017, 2018, 2019, something like that, when Leeds United remodeled their badge and got an absolute load of feedback, negative feedback from Leeds fans. It was awful. It was awful. And to be fair to Leeds, within kind of 12, 15 hours, they just went, right, all right, we might have got this one a little bit wrong and pulled the plug on it. You've got to be very careful with things. People like tradition and like that. But I do think it needs a little bit of a tweak. I don't know how, but I do think it just needs a bit of a refresh.
Yeah, lots of interest there. 1988 present for me, says Chantal. And a lot of it comes down to age as well, that's what it is. I mean, like Ross and I have exactly the same feelings towards that basic NUFC badge, because that was our first badge. And likewise, somebody who is younger than us will probably go for the one that they've always known, and so on and so forth. But it's fascinating. I've stuck the link to the Chronicles article. It was a great article, and it certainly caused a massive online debate anyway, which is what it's all about. And be prepared for more of this, I guess, from the Chronicle, because there will be lots of talking points over the summer. And when the football stops next Sunday, there will be lots of rumours, counter rumours. So you've got to rely on the Chronicle to drum up a little bit of interest over the next couple of months. And
I think it's the best thing it is as well, Steve, is that you have that debate though. You have that conversation about it. So you'll go on that Chronicle piece, and there's loads of stuff in the comments about the badges and stuff, and that's, people can have their say on it. People have their say on Twitter and everywhere else as well, obviously. But you can have that saying, and it's just good as a journalist. It's good to get a little bit of feedback and see what different elements of the readership and the fan base are thinking about a badge or about the Saudi strips. We did a piece on the Saudi strip thing as well, the away kit, and there was a lot of different feedback. It's not just the strip's great and never mind anything else. There was some people who had different opinions, and that's what it's all about. Football's all about opinions, and that's why we love it so much.
The big thing is, if you do change it, what's it going to be and how are you going to get the design? And again, that's one for another day. But the good thing about our owners is that they get the fans. I love the fact that they had the bands on the pitch last night, and that Mirdad and Amanda, and this is one of Serena's photographs of Amanda. If it pops up, maybe it will, maybe it won't. I've got a slight technical issue with that one, but look, Amanda, Mirdad, Jamie Rubin did a walk around the pitch, not once but twice. First of all, they went round at half time with the young'uns, which was fantastic to see them milking the applause, especially from the Gallagher. But then at the end, they kept a distance between themselves and the players, and they went round separately. And I thought they deserved that. They went, Mirdad and Jamie went to see the food bank. They went to see our very own Steve Hasty. I love the video footage last night of Steve Hasty at the food bank doing what he does every match day without fail. Mirdad went across to him, give him a big hug, which was a bit of a thank you, I guess, for a lot of the conversations we had pre-takeover. That's the first time they've met since the takeover, and I loved that. But to see them walking around the pitch and taking the accolade, taking the time to speak to supporters, clapping the various ends, it was just fantastic. And it is a new era. It feels now very much like a new era. And although we are still suffering a little bit of post-Ashley angst is the way to describe it, I think now that we're safe, now that we've got a new transfer window opening up, now we've got new owners, now's the time to look forward. And I just think that rounded it off perfectly last night. That was Serena Taylor's photo, by the way.
Yeah, great. It was great just to see that. And the owners are connecting in with the community. They are connecting in a fan base, and you can see that. Last night was a perfect example, and long may that continue. Long may they listen to the fans. Long may they listen to the community and represent them in the best way possible, and make amends for some of the stuff that's happened over the last decade, but do it on the right levels, I think.
Yeah, I would agree. Okay, big thank you as always to our sponsors. First up, Spider Miner, worldwide coverage from the guys, the only cryptocurrency miner that can mine 5 different cryptocurrencies at the same time, whilst using virtually no energy, and it's VPN protected. Buy yours now at www.miner.spidervpn.org. Thanks also to Scott and the lads at skipsandbins.com, telephone 0800 25 45 25 3, email inquiries at skipsandbins.com, website www.skipsandbins.com, easy contract free and pay-as-you-go waste collection. Thanks also to L&G Family Funeral Directors, 01913897245, and the Garden of Healing Dispensary, CBD, hemp and cannabinoid specialists, www.thegohd.com. Thanks also to qtechshop.co.uk, the makers of pool tables and snooker tables in Wallsend, Newcastle, and the guys who run our website, NUFCmatters.com. And thanks to Cleakai, meet the new Game Over screen. Drop into a ClearRun device near you, available on Apple Store, Google Play, and clearrun.game. Thanks to Media Arts for all the help with the video side of things. And if you want to subscribe, hit the Newcastle Legends logo in the bottom right-hand corner, and you can subscribe for free. We still do 7 shows a week. Hit the thumb up to like the video, click share to share to your social media, and drop into the comments to speak to like-minded Newcastle fans. We're also available as a podcast on iTunes, Spotify, Podbean, and the rest. Usually goes up 24 hours after the show has finished on YouTube. If you want to become a member, click the join button and you can become a member. It's quite cheap on YouTube, or you can use this QR code with your smartphone and it takes you straight to the NUFC Matters website, to the membership pack side of things, and you get a cup, a pen, and a scarf, and a membership card, and entry into the monthly draw. And if you're a subscriber, well, you can apply to get your free NUFC Matters car sticker. Just simply subscribe to the show and email john@nufcmatters.com. Don't forget, we do support the food bank on here, and it becomes vital during the close season to use this particular website, nufcfansfoodbank.co.uk. The matchday bucket is virtual. You can make a donation 365 days of the year. Don't forget, our end of season due is the 24th of June. Hopefully Ross and I will both be there, and everybody else who contributes to NUFC Matters will like to get together a couple of times a year in summer and Christmas. This is an evening with Mick Lewis and Andy Griffin, and tickets are £12. Doors are 7 o'clock. Tickets available from nufcmatters.com. And don't forget, the Alan Shearer Ball raffle is still ongoing, limited to 99 tickets. Tickets are $2.99. You can go to the website at nufcmatters.com, and hopefully, if you win, you can be the proud owner of one of these balls. There's only 260 available, so you need to be in it to win it. Okay, let's take a few questions, and I know there was a few starting to mount up. Tom Dixon says, do you think we will sign Matt Targett in the summer, Ross? He played well last night. Still a question mark over him, and reading his social media, last time he played at St James's Park. I mean, I don't know whether that was just an overall, we're all had our last game and on, one more to go. But I don't know, there seems to be a lot of noise, a lot of noise about Matt Targett, saying that it might not be first choice, we might be going for somebody else. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's a tricky one, isn't it? I think he's certainly, again, we talked about Callum Wilson before, but in the box seat, he's come in, he can't have done any more. He's set his stall out. But what I would say is that I do think that this ownership and Eddie Howe will be ruthless as well. They won't just sign somebody because they think it's the best thing, it's the nice thing to do. Or I think they will look at being ruthless, and you can talk about Dubravka. Dubravka's done really, really well for Newcastle, but I think they will be ruthless. If they think they need a better goalkeeper and there's a better goalkeeper available, they'll do that. And I think that'll be the same with Matt Targett. They'll look at the options in the summer and see who else might be available as a left back. But Matt Targett certainly, he's certainly done a fantastic job, and I think as well, if you can get him at a good price, then it might just tip the balance for him as well. I think he's done really well though.
Yeah, Omar Sadiq says, proud of our team. I think the top 4 movement will be quicker than most fans think. Just need 3 or 4 top players. The future looks good. David R says, I thought ASM was superb last night. I'd hate to see him leave in the summer and join another Premier League club. We need to give him a full season with better players around him and a striker with movement, which is interesting. David says, ASM is going nowhere. So next question, and this one comes from George Bainbridge, which is a regular one, which Liam and I used to get quite a bit when this rumour started. Has the date for Dan Ashworth been agreed, and what is the latest on club sponsors? No news really on any of that. And I think the last time we got asked this question, Ross, it was that we know that Dan Ashworth's going to be cheaper to get from Brighton the further down the line it gets this year. And Newcastle are prepared to wait for him because of the effect he's going to have on the club. And as for the club sponsors, well, there's no news on that at this moment in time. So I think nothing's changed, Ross.
No, nothing's changed. It's still works in progress on both fronts. Dan Ashworth will be in before, unless there's a major change. I think it'll probably be maybe early autumn now that he'll be in. But yeah, I think they just need to be patient on that front, and the sponsors will be being lined up as well, no doubt as well. So yeah, no change on those two.
Tim Cairns, morning. He says, Ross, who do you feel we've seen the last of from our present squad? I mean, there's a few players I think will be hitting the exit door.
Yeah. I mean, you look at the squad last night. I think that there's obvious kind of names that you can put in the frame. I don't think Dwight Gale will be in and around the club next season. I don't think I'd be surprised if Isaac Hayden was. Matt Ritchie as well. I know Matt Ritchie and Eddie Howe have a really good relationship and a strong working relationship going back a period of time. But I don't think he'd be part of the setup next season. And then the rest will just depend on how many players come in. Fernandez will be away. You think one of the fullbacks will probably be away, whether it's Manquillo or Kraft, who to be fair has been excellent. It just depends how many players they want to bring in the summer and in what positions as well. But yeah, there'll be 4, 5, 6, 7 maybe who disappear.
Yeah, it was interesting that Dwight Gale was chosen as the person to get the farewell from the crowd last night. Because obviously we got that rare opportunity to make 4 substitutions. Obviously, with Cher going off with a concussion, it was interesting to see that he chose Dwight Gale. I thought he might have given Matt Ritchie the opportunity, but yeah, Dwight Gale came on and almost scored. Yeah,
I agree. I thought it would have been. I thought he might have given Matt Ritchie a bit of a run out, especially when Matt Target kind of went down with a little bit of a tweak on his hamstring. I thought Matt Ritchie might have got the nod to come on on the left side, or even when they took ASM off and brought Fraser on, I thought Matt Ritchie might have got a nod as well. So, but it was good for Dwight Gale to get his 2 minutes worth on the pitch. He could probably have. He's probably wishing that he's had a lot more game time over the last 12 months, but. Yeah, I think those two will certainly be on their way.
Jonathan Gray and Fallen Angel both asking similar questions. Do we know if any season tickets will go on general sale? And morning, fellas, any news on season ticket availability after the renewal date has passed? I mean, nothing on that at the moment, I don't think. I've
not heard anything. No, not aware of anything on season tickets at the minute.
Yeah, and they're getting inundated at the box office. I've seen many people on Twitter, getting irate, getting upset. I know my dad's had an issue with his season ticket number and is now going to have to go in because he's been locked out of his account online. And it does become frustrating. But I think as well, we've got to give the club a little bit of time. I mean, the stuff that Ashley did at the club, or didn't do, should I say, has led to a lot of frailties behind the scenes. And Rome wasn't built in a day. The ticket side of things is very important, and season tickets, etc. But the box office, etc. I think again, it's just another part of the infrastructure which needs a bit of a look at and a refresh. And I think once they get in and get sorted with that, and I think things will run a lot smoother. But at the moment, there does seem to be a lot of teething issues. But stick by them. They've got to get it right, because that's one of the most important things, as I say, for a football club to get that kind of thing right. Omar says, which striker would you go for? Love Wilson, but he's made of glass. I think Núñez would fit the bill. Any good Premier League strikers you would take? Hopefully we get rid of Wood. Absolutely garbage. Don't hold back, Omar. Malcolm McDonald on this show calls him Deadwood. Honestly, I mean, look, the guy was, good enough to come here and do his best. And don't forget, he played every game in that 9-game unbeaten run. I understand he's not prolific. He's not a goal scorer. I still think he'll play. I think he'll play a part over the next 12 months as well. He was a short-term buy. And he weakened at one of our relegation rivals. So I will always stick up for Chris Wood. From my perspective, though, the striker, as Ross has already said earlier in the show, we've got to bring somebody in who can score goals. And it's the trickiest part of the transfer window for us, Ross. I think other positions are easy, are easier to do, but clubs don't want to let their strikers leave if they can help it, and they're very keen not for them to go to potential rivals as well. So they've got to get this one right, and I'm not sure if there's any Premier League strikers you would take other than Jesse Lingard. I know a lot of people are saying his wages are too high, or he knocked, Manchester United knocked us back, and they might not do business with us. But in the grand scheme of things, I'd still like to see either a Rashford or a Lingard come to Newcastle, because they could do a job here.
I agree. I think for me, you're right. It's absolutely the most crucial part of the transfer window, and it's the area where they're going to have to spend really, really big, and going to have to probably shatter the transfer record as well, the club's transfer record in the summer. There's a number of players that they are looking at and monitoring, and I think obviously Dominic Calvert-Lewin is one of those, and that's been mentioned previously as well. Would you take him? He's very, very good in the air. He's very mobile. He's had a horrendous time with injuries over the last 12 months, but I know he splits opinion when we've mentioned him on here before. But I think he's a good option personally, and I wouldn't necessarily. Don't always look at what a player's done in the past. Look at what he potentially can do. I think Eddie Howe's shown that he's a good enough coach to improve players and get the maximum out of them. So Calvert-Lewin's an opportunity, a possibility. Núñez has obviously been mentioned. I'd be staggered if Newcastle were able to get Núñez away from one of the big boys, because the club doesn't yet have Champions League ball. I wouldn't be surprised if they continue to look abroad. Ekitike, I can never pronounce his name. Right.
Nobody can, don't worry.
The young French lad, there's definitely still an interest there, and I wouldn't be surprised if that one comes around in the summer again. And then there's the likes of Patrick Schick as well, who's playing in Germany at the minute, who's another good option, I think. So there's plenty out there, but you're going to have to spend 50-60 million, I think, to get somebody of the right caliber, the right levels to be able to take the club forward. You're going to have to offer them big wages as well, because some of these guys will be offered decent money and Champions League or European football elsewhere. But there's 4 or 5 that they are keeping an eye on. It's just going to be a really interesting summer again, Steve.
Any news on Paquetá again? A name that's been linked.
Yeah, not that I've heard. If I'm being honest, I don't really know too much about him. I know he's obviously been linked, and Bruno's mentioned him, and a couple of others have, but I don't really know too much with him, too much about him, and I don't know any news on that. I have heard, like I said, Calvert-Lewin is somebody that they're interested in. The French lad is someone they're interested in. Patrick Schick is someone that they're interested in. But I've not heard about Paquetá.
Any Brazilian will do me, like that Bruno plays with, like, to be fair, because he is just a genius. He really is. Fantastic player. And we waited for a player of his calibre to come to St James's Park. It's been fantastic. Question for Ross: would you keep Sean Longstaff or would you sell him? Thought he had a good game last night, Ross.
I thought he was excellent last night. Quietly effective. I said on Twitter, I thought he was in the right places at the right times. He pressed. He had a lot of energy. He played his part in both goals. You know, the first one when it was his switch of play out to the left from the throw-in, which allowed Newcastle to get in down the left hand side, and then he's, you know, a lovely little dink through ball for Callum Wilson for the second goal, which Bruno followed up. Obviously, I thought he played really, really well. It was the best I'd seen him play for a while. He's out of contract, isn't he, this summer? Is it this summer or is it next summer? I think he's out
next
of contract.
Summer, I think, yeah.
Next summer. I'd keep him, certainly. I think he showed last night that there is certainly a player in potential there. I thought he was really good.
Yeah, me too. Is the option to buy Target definitely set at 15 million? Says David. That was right, wasn't it? I think it was 15 million.
Yeah, I think if it's 15 million, it's good value. You're not going to get many Premier League left backs for 15 million.
No, definitely not. Omar says Nketiah. That's how you say it. Thank you for that. Thanks for that. Tom says I would take Jesse Lingard, and I think he will come. Yeah, I've got a feeling he will, and he's very good friends with Kieran Trippier, and I think he will play a big part in attracting other players. There's also talk of a left back from Spain that Trippier has a good relationship with, coming from his old club.
Did you see Trippier last night? It was
he was superb, wasn't he?
Just as a side note, Trippier last night when he was warming up, he's down on the sidelines warming up, and Matt Target was taking throw-ins or certainly in the first half or free kicks or corners or whatever, and Trippier was virtually standing there. You could talking to him. He's almost coaching him on the sidelines. He's a proper leader. He's a proper team player, and he's a proper bloke.
I would say out of the 90 minutes of the game, he was doing that for about 70 minutes.
Yeah.
And he was superb, and that was great, and he was living it. He was jumping up and down when there was like a missed chance, and celebrating when there was a goal. It was just great to see. Yeah, he's definitely a leader. Omar says, would you swap Almiron for Maxwell Cornet?
No.
Played well again. Almiron last night again. If you're gonna have a player who you're gonna carry in a game who's not going to have many assists or goals, then easier man, I think, because he gives you 100% commitment.
Works, yeah. His energy and his commitment and his work rate is fantastic. You know, he closed Ramsdale down, nearly got a goal just through his sheer willpower and work rate. I would be tempted to move Almiron on in the summer. I think there's better players out there than Maxwell Cornet, though. I think if you're bringing players in, they need to be of a substantially better standard than what you replaced. And I don't Cornet v Almiron. I don't think it's a massive upgrade.
Yeah, we're going to get asked this every week, I think. But what are your thoughts on here? Is it a case of getting better players around him, or just that he's not good enough to produce consistent performances? Last night, it was one of his better performances. But I still think the jury's out. I would not be surprised if Newcastle cashed in on him and replaced him. But at the same time, I wouldn't be surprised if Newcastle decided, let's build around him. I thought last night it was a better game because he did do a bit of defensive work. He released the ball quicker. There was less of the showboating. There was more. He listened to what Eddie Howard said. I got in early last night. I mean, we were all asked to go in 10 minutes early, but I got in about 20 minutes before kickoff, and in time to see them warming up. The warm-up really reflected the game. There was a lot of passing, moving, shooting. The drills that they were doing pre-match, you could see them carrying it into the game, and it was very clear that they all listened and they were all focused and all did what they were told. And I think the SM fell into that category last night. So
yeah, absolutely. That was the one thing that struck me in the first kind of 20, 25 minutes. And I think I tweeted it as well, is that he just moved the ball so much quicker. You know, instead of taking, I mean, don't get us wrong, he's still taking 5 touches before he releases it, but he's not taking 25 touches before he releases it. Matt Target made some really good overlapping runs, and he released the ball at good times, or into Joe Linton a couple of times as well. He just moved the ball and released it a lot quicker for me, and that was obviously he's been instructed, probably and coached to do that. And Eddie Howe does like a quick passing game as well. He just like that ball released quickly. So it was one of his better performances last night over the last few months, and it showed that he's listening, and he's if he continues like that, then maybe he will have a place in the team next season.
Yeah, I just think, I genuinely feel that it's going to be one of those situations where if there's a huge offer comes in for him, they might decide, actually, we'll cash in on him. But yeah, I can equally see them, keeping a hold of him. Steve Mowat says ASM played well last night because he kept it simple. Yeah, I would agree. Who is the one player you would like to sign from the Premier League? De Bruyne for me, Owen. I've said this a few times now, but definitely De Bruyne. What about you, Ross?
Oh, De Bruyne, without a shout out. He's absolutely insanely good. He's insanely good. He's that good that I think now that if you're having a conversation about the greatest Premier League 11 of all time, so over the last 30 years, I think he's got to be in that conversation as one of them attacking or central midfielders. You'll talk Gerrard and you'll talk Lampard and Vieira and Keane and Scholes and so on and so forth. I just think he's been at the top of his game for 4 or 5 seasons now. He's incredible. Those four
goals he scored the other day, and all on his left peg, were absolutely fine. It was just phenomenal. It was just a masterclass in how to play midfield. It was he's exciting.
He's brilliant. He's powerful. He can pass. He can drive. He can shoot. He can tackle. He's got it all. He can play as a centre forward or as a false nine. He could play out wide. You could stick him at right back. I think he'd be great. He's just an incredible player, and certainly in the top. I think he's in the top 10, 15 players of the Premier League scene.
Yeah, that's why Man City and Pep deserve a lot of credit, and probably why they deserve to win the league again. Because without centre forward, they haven't redesigned the game. They've just learned to play without the centre forward. And obviously they lost Aguero, and now Haaland's coming in. Be interesting to see how he fits in. But last couple of questions. Tom Dixon says, would you play Chris Wood and Wilson up front against Burnley on Sunday? It depends if Chris Wood's fit. I think he was injured last night.
Yeah, he was injured last night. Had a bit of a knock. You'd be tempted to, wouldn't you? They won't change the formation. I don't think Eddie Howe will change the formation from a 4-3-3. That's worked.
Doesn't like the front two, does he, Eddie?
No. And I know Wood and Wilson, I think, would probably link up quite well, but you'd lose something else in the midfield and so on and so forth. Chris Wood will obviously going back to Turf Moor, go back to Burnley, could potentially relegate his old club if Newcastle could relegate Burnley, and Wood might play a part off the bench unless Callum Wilson suffers any adverse reaction to his exertions last night. He's probably lying down in a darkened room somewhere or getting a few massages the day on those legs because he put in a hell of a shift last night. I don't think Wood would start. You'd probably stick with the same front three as that started last night. But he might have a really crucial role to play off the bench and silence those Burnley fans.
Yeah, Howe said he doesn't see us playing with two up top. The game's changed big style. Yeah, it has, and that's why people like Steve Bruce, etc. I was having this conversation with a Sunderland fan the other day. These managers, are confined to the history books now. Tony Pulis, Alan Kirbishley, Steve Bruce, really, Roy Hodgson. The list is endless, and that era of football is no longer with us. We've moved on. It's a different game now. It's a faster game. There's more foreign imports. It's long gone are those days. L. Stapleton, I was going to ignore this one, but Mark are in Spain. Honestly, these foreign newspapers have got a lot to answer for. Saying Mourinho is replacing Eddie in the summer. Surely it's clickbait. Yeah, Eddie Howe's going nowhere.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Having said that, I have always had a feeling, I've always had a suspicion that Mourinho might end up at St. James's Park. He might end up as Newcastle manager at some point, but I think that ship's now probably probably sailed. But ever since the Bobby Robson days and his relationship with Sir Bobby, I've always felt that Mourinho might somehow end up as in the Newcastle dugout, but not this summer, no.
Yeah, and you know what? Jose Mourinho, when he first came to the UK as a manager, yeah, I would have loved him as a Newcastle manager, following in the footsteps of Sir Bobby. But you know what? Now, even he, in his last few jobs, he just hasn't quite worked out. And I know it's still better than what we've achieved. He still managed to win the odd trophy here and there. But you know what? It's been a different Mourinho. And again, I mentioned it on this show. I feel that the dispute that he had with a female doctor or physiotherapist or whatever she was on the sidelines, I don't think he ever recovered from that, because that was the first time we saw a different side to Jose Mourinho. And the documentary when he was at Spurs, we saw a different side to him again, and it's not what I want as a Newcastle manager. I want to see somebody like Eddie Howe, like Joe Harvey, like Kevin Keegan, like Rafa Benitez, people who can conduct themselves properly, in the dugout and on TV, and of course, who can coach a football team. And that's what it's all about. And I don't want a manager who wants it all to be about him, and love the focus, love the attention, and making little quips in press conferences. Rafa's a little bit like that, but Rafa still got it. Do you know what I mean? And that's why he can be mentioned in the same light as Joe Harvey, Kevin Keegan, and now Eddie Howe. And let's hope Eddie Howe becomes the first manager since the late great Joe Harvey to finally lead a team to some silverware.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think Mourinho's. If you look at a kind of a graph of somebody's career, Mourinho's hit his peak, and he's certainly on the way down on his career. You hope that Eddie Howe's career is still yet to peak. Yeah,
let's hope so. Okay, well, one more game to go before the end of the season, mate. And Newcastle travelled to Burnley for their final game of the season, and something to play for the Burnley home team. It's going to be interesting because there's games, obviously a couple of games to play this week at the top and the bottom of the table. But let's focus on the bottom of the table. And Burnley, Leeds, and Everton all still in danger of the drop. Everton in the driving seat at the moment. They really shouldn't drop. You wouldn't have thought. They've got a midweek game, which if they win, will see them safe. Then it leaves it between Leeds and Burnley, and we kick off at 4:00 at Turf Moor. No live coverage at the moment, but that may change because of the predicament. All 2,350 tickets have been sold for the away end. Joe Willock and John Joe Shelby will miss out due to injury. Still doubts over Chris Wood and Fabian Schär and Javier Manquillo, but obviously more will be revealed later in the week. And it's got a feeling of celebration for Newcastle. It's got a feeling of the game when we went down to Fulham a few years ago, and the flip flops weren't on then. Newcastle ran out 4-0 winners. What's your feeling about this game, Ross? How do you think it's going to go?
I think it's going to be tight. I think it's going to be a real physical battle. Obviously, Burnley will be scrapping for their lives. So it's going to go down to the last day of the season for them, whether they can survive, whether they can get out of it. Leeds got a really kind of 92nd, 93rd equaliser at the weekend, which was a real blow for Burnley. So I think it's going to be a tight one. Newcastle can go and just play with a bit of freedom, play with a bit of express themselves. No pressure on the team, and hopefully finish off with a strong performance and carry the momentum from last night into Sundays as well. But I do think it's going to be a tight, tense battle.
Yeah, me too. Prediction?
I'll go for 2-1 Newcastle.
2-1 to Newcastle. Okay, great stuff. If you didn't hear the breaking news at the top of the show, I have stuck the link at the top of the chat, and that is that Newcastle are still interested in Dean Henderson from Manchester United. Certainly going to pick up pace that, and say when the transfer window is open on the 1st of June, get ready for a lot of speculation for ins and for outs. Don't forget you can follow Ross on Twitter. Just look for Ross Gregory, comes up right at the top. And don't forget to check in on his stuff on the Chronicle. And Yeah, Ross, been fantastic, mate. That hour has flown over. Enjoyed the last game of the season, and I look forward to seeing you next Tuesday, mate.
You too, Steve. Cheers. Cheers, everyone, for joining.